Hey guys, this is Sean Sandridge. Thank you so much for clicking back to my channel.
In 700 feet, turn right onto Homan Avenue.
Jumpstart January. I hope everyone's doing well. I have no complaints. I am working in this cold weather.
Turn right onto Homan Avenue.
Actually, my feet
onto East Conky Street.
and my hands are cold, to be honest. So I hope everyone's doing okay. So Anastasia Lucas, who inspired me to do several of these videos about love and marriage and relationships, also inspired this particular one, and it's about marrying young.
In a quarter of a mile, turn left onto 165th Street.
What are my views about marrying young? I married young. Would I want my children to marry young? That's a good question. And how did I deal with my relationship marrying young? Those are all good questions. So let's talk about it. So I married young. I was shy of my 24th birthday. My husband was 25.
Turn left onto 165th Street.
And next month we will be married for 23 years. We've been together for 24. And we actually will have known each other for close to 30 years, believe it or not. We met January of 1988. So next year we will have known each other for 30 years. I don't recommend most people to get married young. And I would even say by today's standards, getting married young is probably not recommended. Mainly because the way young people date, or the way the dating rituals are today, I'm not sure if it's conducive to a long-term marriage. And especially since by today's society, the way marriage and divorce is viewed, I don't know. All I would say is that if one of my children wanted to get married young, I would ask a lot of questions, and I would say Godspeed, because truth be told, when you're talking about adults, if they want to get married, they're going to get married with or without my blessing. So I think what made our marriage last as long as it has lasted is that, one, I was very mature for my age, and two, I had lived a pretty good single life.
Turn right onto Calumet Avenue.
I dated and dated often. I knew what I liked and what I didn't like. I dated lots of men. And, you know, I always tell my children, dating is an action word. So I made a point to date. I didn't get emotionally involved with men that, you know, I could weed out right away. And again, I am an observer by nature. So I look at things that most people probably wouldn't see. And truth be told, when I was young, I wasn't really interested in getting married. I was interested in companionship, but I really didn't think I was the marrying kind. I didn't know if I could be someone that would be fully committed to somebody. So I really wasn't sure about that. However, I do know what I like, and I'm pretty basic when it comes to the things that I like. I want people who are real. I want a man who respects me, and I will give him respect. I want a man who is ambitious. I want a man that is sure of himself. I want a man that can stand in. I want a traditional type of man that I feel is sure of who he is as a person, as a man, and really doesn't need me to build him up. Like, me building him up is an asset and is a bonus, but I don't need to be his hype man. Like, he has his own self-reliance to do what he needs to do to be a provider, and that he can stand alone on what he needs to do for himself, because I'm gonna stand alone on what I'm gonna do for myself, and that we come together as two fully whole functioning people, and we can operate as a unit. I really believe in compatibility. I truly believe in, I know my girlfriends used to make fun of me because, do I like romance? Absolutely. But I also believe that I took marriage kind of like any other business partnership. Can I function with this person? Can this person, is emotionally stable? Women in general, I'm just painting a broad stroke here. Women in general are emotional creatures. I need someone who, while I'm spinning out of control with my emotions, is he going to be the rock? Is he going to be that stable rock in the ocean of chaos? Because I need that in my life. Now, I am not one to fly by the handle, but once I'm emotional, I'm emotional. I mean, you can't put that genie back in the bottle. But I need someone who can offset who I am. So one, I think you need to be very aware of who you are, which most young people aren't. I mean, I know who I am. I was very clear about the kind of person I am. I'm loyal. I believe in respectability. I don't believe in, I believe in fighting fair. When it comes to couples, don't say things that you say you didn't mean, because I'm going to take it as face value. So when I've talked about this before in another segment, there was a book, this little book I remember being shown on the Today Show, and it was done by two ladies, and it was called 99 Questions. I don't know if it's still in circulation, but it's 99 questions that you and your mate should ask each other before you get married. And it's really all the big questions. I've never been afraid of asking the big questions. I want to know. I like to go into things with, I'm a planner, and I like to go into things with my eyes wide open. So I was never afraid to ask the big questions. Do you get along with your parents? If you don't, why? I want to know, what kind of person are you when you get angry? Are you someone who is confrontational and in your face? Are you aggressive? Are you someone who like to keep things to themselves when you're under pressure? How do you feel about children? How do you feel about traveling?
Keep left to merge onto I-80 east towards Detroit.
Why? Because I like to travel. I don't want to be with someone who's a homebody. Asking the big questions. How do you feel about money? Do you believe that you can't take it with you, so you're someone that will never hold on to money? Are you frugal? Are you a cheapskate? I am a budgeter. I could not be with someone who likes to be an impulse buyer. That would rattle my brain. I could not do that. I cannot imagine you spending $50 on a pair of socks. Yes, I do. I did know a guy that did that. He was single and thought it was fantastic that he would spend $50 on a pair of socks. I can't do that. Religion. How important is religion to you? Are you agnostic? Are you atheist? Are you a practicing Christian? Are you a Christian that only goes on the holy days? If you had children, how would you want to raise your children? I asked all those questions. So I think that if you can ask those questions and answer them honestly, how do you feel about sex? Is sex important to you? How do you feel about housekeeping? How do you feel about who does the cooking, who does the cleaning? How do you feel about your finances? Who's going to take care of the finances? Are you going to have your own separate accounts? For a long time, my husband and I had our own separate accounts. It really wasn't until we started having children that we joined we had a joint account. But it worked for us. How do you feel about taking a last name? Is it important? Are you going to hyphenate names? Everything that you don't think is a problem is always a problem, because if you don't ask the big questions, everybody comes into a relationship with their own preconceived ideas. If your mom was the one that always handled the checkbook, you may think you should always handle the checkbook. But your partner may come from a different way of doing things. If you came from money and money was no object, and you marry someone where money was always hard to get, you're going to have a different approach to money. You know, what are your values about family? Do you want your family in your business? I talked about that. That's a huge dynamic. You know, are you close to your family? Is your family a large family? Or, you know, do you do everything together? Are there boundary issues? And I think also, you know, medical stuff. You know, yeah, let's talk about the medical stuff. Does everybody in your family don't live to the age of 50? You know, that's something to be discussing. I am a big proponent of premarital counseling. I did not have premarital counseling because I felt like I was already equipped with everything that I needed to know about my husband. Every person I've ever dated, I had a platonic relationship before it became serious. And I did not realize that until I was talking to a friend. Every person I ever dated, I had a familiarity with that was not a romantic place. We knew each other through work, through some kind of program. We were on a project together. We took classes together. Maybe we were in the same social circles. And I always knew this person. So some of the things, you know, that I had already observed about the person that before I dated, like I had already vetted them before we even got into the dating process. So representative, you're not really getting the real person until, you know, a little bit. But when you're just friends, you're just being who you are. So the veil is already lifted. I already know what kind of person you are, you know. I know if you're the kind of person that fly off the handle or ready to curse a person out. You know, maybe I've already seen who you've dated in the past and what kind of woman you're already attracted to and how you treat that person. I already figured that out. So, you know, I think that that has been to my advantage. Subconsciously, that has how it's been for me. But it's worked. So I say, if you can date someone who's a friend or someone that you've met that is, you know, because here's the thing, a lot of time, especially women, we jump into a physical relationship long before we've figured them out. And by then, your heart, your body is already connected to this person prematurely. And because that's not how I'm wired, I'm not really one to physically jump into anything. That has been a way that I could weed off people who really don't deserve my time and don't really deserve anything else from me, you know. So I've never been one to use physical, even if I was extremely physically attracted to the person. I know that that's very surface level. And I knew that very young. I saw that from my friends when they would jump into relationships physically with people, and then they get their heart broken, and I knew that wasn't for me. I'm not built for that. You know, we weren't going to be physical for an extremely long time. And, you know, there were guys that I dated that I was never... Now, I will say this. My husband was married before he married me. He married very young, as a lot of military people do. And so when he and I got together, because he had been married before, he wanted to learn and he wanted to do things differently. So asking the hard questions was definitely something he wanted to do. And I wasn't afraid to answer them. And I think that's also a part of maturity. You should not be afraid to ask a question who you are going to spend the rest of your life with, potentially, and your time and your finances. If you are afraid to ask those questions, that person, one, is not the person that you should be marrying. You're not ready to get married, and you're both not ready to get married, I would say. If you are afraid of the answer, instead of being equipped with the answer or feel empowered with the answer, then I don't think you're ready for that next step. Now, you may not like what he or she has to say, but you should never be afraid to ask the question. That is for sure. One of the things that I think that has been vital for our relationship is that, you know, I like my husband, I love my husband, I'm in love with my husband, but I like him. I like him as a person. I like him as a human being. If we were not married, he's someone who I would want to know. I think that's important. He is a friend of mine. We enjoy each other's company. I think it's one of the reasons why we're able to work together, because we have a huge mutual amount of respect for each other as individuals. I am his spouse, but I am my own person, and he respects who I am as a person as I do he. And also, we are both willing to grow together. Trust me, after 23 years of marriage, are we the same people? Absolutely. But we have grown together, and we have adjusted to life's issues. And you have to grow. The things that maybe fit for you in your 20s and 30s, especially when you're talking about family and finances and the highs and lows, you adjust. So we have learned to grow together as a couple. And I would also say that because I respect him as a person and he respects me as a person, we're not intimidated by each other's, I'm not quite sure what to say, but my husband is not afraid to let me shine. In fact, my husband wants me to shine because he knows that whatever it is that I need to do for myself individually, for me to feel whole, like a whole person, he wants for me. And I want that for him. And if I am doing something that gives me joy, he knows that I'm going to be a better person. He knows I'm going to be a better wife. And the same for him. I don't sweat the small stuff, and he doesn't sweat the small stuff. We take separate vacations. And what I mean by that is that, you know, we do things as a family, but my husband has a standing Vegas trip. He goes every year, and he goes with a bunch of guys. I have showed up on the tail end of the trip. This year he went. I did not go at all because I had to hold down the fort. But now that we have employees, we probably will make that happen. A lot of times what will happen is he'll go in the beginning of the trip, and I'll come towards like 3 days before the trip ends, and then we fly back together. But he has his time that he goes to Vegas, and he can stay out as late as he wants and play cards and go on all these tournaments and all these things. And he does his own thing. When I'm in Vegas, I do my own thing. If we go together. But, you know, once a year I try to go back to Maryland and visit my friends from when I was stationed there. I used to live there before moving to Indiana. I have gone to Jamaica with my friend Joyce for her big birthday. You know, I've taken trips without my husband, and he's taken trips without me, and we take trips together. He has a standing poker game that he plays every Wednesday. I took up ballroom dancing, and I went ballroom dancing every Friday night. We let each other be ourselves, and it makes him happy to have that guy time, and he knows that there's some things that he doesn't want to do that I want to do. If I want to go to an art show, I'm going to go to an art show. He's not interested in it, okay, I'm still gonna go, you know, and there's no big deal about it. So I think that's important. We have, but again, for me, and again, you have to do what works in your coupledom, your couplehood. I like solitude time. I need time away from everybody to rejuvenate, and then I'm refreshed and I come back. You know, my husband does not really go to church with me very often. I am very heavily involved in my church for a lot of things, but he will join me on a lot of the outreaches, and we will go as a family to do outreach projects at my church. He lets me be who I need to be as a person, and there I can be a better spouse. I don't feel smothered. I don't feel like I'm missing out, and I don't think he feels that way either. So I've talked a lot. I think that covers it. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. I think really, you know, I think one thing that should never change in a marriage are the core values. There's a lot of things that can be negotiable in a relationship, but only you know what your personal core values are and what your non-negotiable things are in a relationship that you need to feel safe. And you need to find someone who shares those core values. My husband and I don't look the same, you know, as we did 23 years ago, but our core values have not changed. And I think that core values, like principles, stand the test of time, and you need to know what those core values are for your relationship. And again, I don't take my husband for granted. I know that marriage is work. You know, you have to actively be involved in your marriage. You have to actively check in. I mean, it's not uncommon. I'll say, hey, are we okay today? Are we okay? How are we doing? You know, I'm putting my finger on the pulse of our relationship. Not that it means anything is wrong. I'm just checking in.
Left onto East Highway 330.
You know, are you feeling like I'm giving you attention? Are you feeling like I'm plugged in? And he'll ask me that too. Is everything okay? Just checking in. Because for us, we work together all the time. That is, sometimes we need to make sure that we have that husband and wife cap
in 2
on.
miles, turn right onto Noble Street.
Because we are together all the time. So again, I hold my relationship with my husband very, very sacred, very close to me. I I trust no one with it because I'm the only one that matters. He and I are the only ones that matter. I don't care what other people think about what we do together because we know the inner workings of our relationship, and I play it real close, and I am, like I said, I would say I am fiercely protective over my husband, and he is protective over me. And I think between that, mutual respect, and a lot of humor, because we laugh a lot, has helped us navigate through almost 23 years of marriage and 24 years. It'll be 24 years we've been together in May. So I hope that will help someone who is not married, thinking about marriage, see what that looks like. And also, I will say this. My mom was a single woman. She never married. And my mother-in-law was married several times. Neither one of us really had an image of what a marriage should look like. And what I would say is, if you don't have a marriage to mimic or characteristics of a marriage pieces, I didn't know what it looked like, but I knew what I wanted. And from there, we together came up with our own blueprint, because I really wanted to have a legacy, if we had children, to let them know what a marriage can look like, and what that is, how people communicate, and how people love each other, and how people deal with conflict, and how people take care of each other. I wanted to have something that resembled something healthy. So although I did not have a picture of that, truth be told, the first wedding I ever went to in my family was my own. I had to come up with my own blueprint. So don't be afraid if you don't come from a family that was married, or you came from a, you are a child of divorce. Don't let that turn right onto Noble Street. Don't let that be your defining factor, that you don't think you could be married or have a healthy marriage. I hope that gives somebody some hope with their own relationship. So that's all I have for now. Take care of yourself. Thank you, Anastasia, for your inspiration to this video. Take care of yourself and each other, and I will talk to you tomorrow for another Jumpstart January video. Talk to you soon. Bye.